All right.
All right, y'all. We are going to get this party started. Here we go. Our Impacting Life 24/7 sponsors are unique in that they help us to continue to impact one life, one day at a time. Our gold sponsors, Michelle Perry. She is the host of the Successful Diligence podcast and best-selling author of The Pebble in My Shoe. You can connect with Michelle and get a copy of her book at successfuldiligence.com. Paula Cousson has dedicated her life volunteering in community youth programs such as the Young Marines. Paula believes that the greatest asset each young person has is at least one caring adult in their life. Donald Lamb, he and his wife have been happily married for over 35 years. He is the proud father of one daughter and 3 sons. Donald honorably served his country for over 22 years in the United States Army and retired with distinction. Active in his community, Donald is the owner and operator of Mama's Boy Event Planning and Coordinating Services. Connect with Donald at facebook.com/Mama's Boy Event Coordinating. Amanda Aker, coming from a past of drug abuse, homelessness, and being a convicted felon, Amanda has broken through and was able to let the good things into her life. Amanda is now on a mission to inspire and motivate people just like you. Amanda's core message is that our past does not define us and we are way stronger than we think. Connect with Amanda at facebook.com/Amanda.Aker2017. Our platinum sponsors, Mr. Gregory Smith. He is the author of 100 Simple Ways How to Manage a Property and Evidence Room. Get your copy by reaching out to Gregory Smith on Facebook or email him at smithg1963@yahoo.com. Adrienne Barker. She is the host of the Adrienne Barker Speaks podcast, a life coach and CEO of Professional Global Etiquette. Please connect with her at professionalglobaletiquette.com. Mr. Mike Black from New Bern, North Carolina. Mike helps men throughout Eastern Carolina lead a faith-filled life. He is a compassionate leader in his church and a devoted husband and father. Dr. Nate Dunlap Jr. He is the executive director of the PRF Institute. He's the author of What's Next? Preparing for Eternity and Don't Leave Me Like This, Inspiration to Leave a Legacy. As a 501c3 organization, the PRF Institute is blessed to be the premier stewardship-based teaching ministry that truly responds to the needs of others in the community. Contact him at prfinstitute.org. If you would like to become a sponsor of Impacting Life 24/7, it's very simple. Just visit clkingspeaker.com. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Just visit clkingspeaker.com if you would like to be a sponsor of Impacting Life 24/7. We thank our sponsors so very much for all that they do to help us continue to impact one life one day at a time. And so tonight is a great night because I want you to know that we have been blessed to have the individual that we have in our studios with us tonight. You know, as you guys tune in week after week, month after month, and literally year after year, we bring into your virtual studios people who are changing their world. And this lady that we have tonight is no different. Her name is Dr. Catherine Toomer, and she is a physician, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and the creator of the Total Wellness and Weight Loss Membership Program. It's designed to help people, perhaps just like you. That's why I brought her here, ladies and gentlemen, who are sick and tired of being sick and tired of being overwhelmed. How many of y'all have been overwhelmed out there by all the weight loss noise? It's January, get your Richard Simmons headband on, and you're just overwhelmed with that already, and we're only 18 days into the year. Weight loss should be led by a calm life that is calm, controlled, and confidence, not a constant struggle to keep it off. How many of you out there have experienced that? I can raise my hand in the class right now. For those of you listening on our podcast, yes, there are people out there that can identify with what Dr. Toomer is saying. She knows that total wellness plus weight loss will give you what you need. That's why she created a program with that title in mind: Total Wellness plus Weight Loss. She's been a physician for over 25 years, helping patients and clients collectively lose thousands of pounds and keeping it off, to include herself. When you go to her website, you're going to be amazed. Because of the transformational pictures that she has, but you're also going to be inspired by the dandelions. And she's got dandelions on her website. I said, what's up with the dandelions? Because they are a symbol of transformation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to strap in tonight. I want you to listen very intently. I'm telling you, we're blessed. When I say we're blessed to have someone of this caliber on our show. We spent the last few minutes getting to know her, and now we're going to take the next hour to introduce her to you. Welcome to our studios, Dr. Catherine Toomer. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
See, that was a mild introduction, okay? Oh, man. So, Mike, are you glad to be with us, brother?
Glad to be here, man. Thanks again for having me in studio. We were just at it last night, and we are going to do it again today. So, and we're like you said, we're having a second doctor. This is going to be a start of a great new year. It's awesome to have a doctor to interview and get all this wisdom and knowledge. So, thank you.
Exactly, because guess what? All we had to do was show up tonight. They did all the work. 12 plus years, and we get to come and say, let us sit at your feet and gain some wisdom tonight. So again, Dr. Toomer, we thank you. I see you, Greg, out there. You already got her information in the chat. And for those of you that would like to connect with her, you can go there right now. But and I'm going to ask her again, but her website is drtoomer.com. That's drtoomer.com. And so, doctor, thank you so much for giving us a sliver of your time. I know you're extremely busy. And so, like I said, that was just one area where people can contact you. But tell us all the other ways that people can get up with you and contact you.
Other than my website, the best way to contact me is by email, and that's courage@drtoomer.com. On Facebook Messenger, I answer. People contact me all the time, and I respond, and that's at C. Harmon Toomer MD on Facebook. Pretty much, if you put Harmon Toomer anywhere online, especially Harmon Toomer MD, you'll find me. I'm the only one in Google. So
it's great to be the only one in some cases, right?
Yeah, it is.
Except for if you rob a bank, then we know exactly who it is. We got you right there, sister. So yeah, and again, Greg's got all of that information in there. The VP, Greg is the VP. He runs all the stuff from the 500-yard line. You can't even see him. He's so stealthy, but he makes sure that our guests get their information out to our live audience, as well as all of this information will be in our podcast on Impacting Life 24/7. And you're right, Mike. We were together last night, kind of working out the kinks for letting you run this thing all by yourself. How was that? Wasn't that a hoot?
It was definitely an education, and he was so gracious, y'all. I just want to tell the audience that he was very patient with me, and he showed me step by step, and I raised my hand. I said, I don't understand. Can you show me again? He said, absolutely, pal.
And for those of you who know me, you know it happened nothing like that. I am the high-strung one of our relationship. So you always need the yin and the yang. He is the calm, cool, and collected, and I am the over-the-top. That's just the way it is. So, and Greg is the same way. Greg is so chill. So, and he says, greetings to you, Dr. Toomer. And again, if you're tuning into us live on our live audience, you can go to drtoomer.com and connect with her. I love for you guys to go there. Check her out on Facebook right now. Go to her website and start scouring through the details, because we're going to unpack a lot of stuff with her tonight. And I love for, at the conclusion of this, that there's somebody that says, you know what, I need to walk this journey with Dr. Catherine Toomer. And so that's what our goal is here tonight. So tell us, since I know so much about you, Doctor, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a family medicine and community health physician. I am originally from Michigan. I grew up in East Africa and went into medicine because I went into family medicine because I thought I was going to be going back to Africa, and I wanted a field that I could do everything. from, as we say, from conception to the grave.
Right.
And I met my husband my first day of medical school, although he wasn't my husband then, of course. We dated for a while first. And then, but he's from rural South Carolina. And when I visited here, I saw a lot of the conditions in the United States that I thought were only in third world countries. So essentially, there are just a lot of medically underserved people. And so I decided to stay in the country, and my first job was actually in his hometown. And so, but I'm from a large family. I'm the sixth of 8 children, and both of my parents well, my mother's still living. She's 92. Well, will be in March. My father passed away at 90 last year, but he lived a very long and happy life. And what else can I tell you? I'm 56 years old, so I've got a lot of things I could talk about. So you tell me about yourself.
And 56 is a high watermark. So that I noticed that you weren't ashamed in your TED talk to talk about your age, and so I was like,
not at all.
Powerful. What you got, Mike?
Yeah, so Doctor, in the pre-show, we talked about how you've started doing telemedicine in your practice, and also you do podcasting. Tell your viewers about that and how that experience has been.
All right. Well, the podcasting so far has been as guests on podcasts. I do want to start my own just because I have a lot to talk about, and it just gives me a way of getting information out there and helping and reaching more people. My telemedicine experience came out of COVID. I had an office, and when everything shut down, doctors' offices were was suggested to shut down as well. I work alone, so there was nothing else for me to do but to shift to go online. It just so happened that for the months leading up to the shutdown, I was digitizing my program anyway, mainly because I had people from other countries asking me for help. And the only way I could do that was if I digitized.
Right.
And so when COVID hit, it didn't take me much to pivot and go straight online. And I've been doing that ever since. And so, and because of my electronic medical record system, I can order labs, I can order, medications, I can do everything electronically. I can talk to people face to face. I do a lot of things with Zoom, and it's a wonderful way of connecting to people. And that's probably one of the best things to come out of COVID, was that we've gotten very comfortable with this type of interaction and exchange.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I see that clearly, because it's helped to weave the things that we normally did, but we had to take off from work, or we had to drive an hour, you know what I'm saying? It's helped to weave those things into our life, where now, people are working from the computer, people are working from home, etc. And so to be able to see your doctor, and it's like we're in a doctor's visit right now. You can write me your prescription, doctor. And that really, I really love that part, because like you said, and this is what I hope some of our young people catch, is that you were digitizing your programs. And so when COVID hit, you were already in pivot mode. You were like Herschel Walker. You had already busted the move and not missing a beat. And we've looked at that same thing, doctor, because being the global professional speaker that I am, I am a brick and mortar speaker. Like, as you can imagine, I could just jump off the stage. I want to be slinging sweat, and I want to be looking into people's eyes. But there wasn't a lot of calls for that type of service in 2020 and 2021. It just was not a reality. And so we had to do the exact same thing with all of our programs, is to make them virtual and make them just as good. You know what I'm saying? Make them just as good, but having them being virtual. So again, those of you tuning in live into our audience, what's up there? Art Mitch and Chris DT. We have in our virtual studios the one and only Dr. Catherine Toomer, and you can find her at drtoomer.com. That's drtoomer.com. And I'd love for you guys to go to check out her website, leave her a comment, send her a message on Facebook, tell her you saw her here. If you are going to need to have a discussion on wellness and plus weight loss, this is the lady that you need to listen to for the next little bit. But I told you that I wanted to kind of unpack your family a little bit more because, Mike, you know this, that we've had a lot of children in our we've had a lot. When he and I lived in a trailer park together many moons ago, I lived in a single wide trailer with all 6 of those kids.
Wow.
It was absolutely crazy. Tell us a little bit, give us the little nugget that you told us that you did in the TED Talk about how you managed to find a way to spend time with your dad, because, you know, like you said, getting the parents' attention and getting them alone is a challenge with a big family. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I realized that there were times when everyone would be occupied.
Right.
And that was usually on Sundays. And that was partly because that was the only time we were really allowed to watch television.
Right.
And now this was in the, late 60s, early 70s. And so cartoons used to come on the weekends. And so when everyone was watching cartoons, I realized that was the time when I could get my parents by themselves because nobody else wanted to leave the television.
Right.
And so what I would do is I would sit while my father would read the paper. And usually I was just chatting to the back of the newspaper. I didn't know if he was listening to me or not. I didn't care. So I would just sit there and I'd talk. With my mother, what it was is if we wanted to get up really early and go with her shopping, that was how we got her by ourselves. But that meant getting up early in the morning. But with my dad, it was sitting on his bed at the end of the bed when he was reading his newspaper on Sunday afternoons. And that's when I would sit and I would talk and I would work things out. And there are many conversations that I had with him that helped me figure things out with friends and family. And of course, now in hindsight, I realized I was working it out on my own, but I didn't know that and I didn't care.
You know, it's interesting you say that. And I know Mike's got a question next, but parents, moms and dads, don't ever underestimate those moments with your kids. I used to take my kids around in my old black truck. Now, this is before I became the lavishly wealthy person that I am today. But I used to have this old black truck. You remember that, Mike? Do you even remember that truck?
I remember the red van, not the black truck.
Black truck was probably worse than the red van. It had no heat. It had no driver's side window. It had no rear view mirror. It had no AC. I don't even know if it was legal to drive it on the road. But when my kids were little, they loved hopping in Dad's truck and rolling up to Miss Holly's sweet shop and getting an ice cream cone. And I would try to find time to do that individually with each one of them. It was a challenge because we're a busy, wide open family. But then at other times when I couldn't get away to do something with them, and one of my kids wanted to come and talk, and I'm so busy, like I got to prepare a speech, and God checked me on that one time. He said, "Man, they ain't always gonna be this size. They're not always gonna be this little. Take a moment and pause, because you're embossing in their brain the time y'all spent together." And I said, wow. So when I saw you talking about that, I said, man, I visualized the newspaper and the little girl sitting on the edge of the bed. Man, I just saw it in my mind's eye. So that was powerful. Mike.
So doctor, tell us about the journey to becoming a doctor and how that all took shape.
Well, one of those conversations is actually how I became a doctor. So I used to sit and talk to my father every Sunday when he was at home. He used to travel quite a bit for business, but I would sit and I would talk. And then one day he wasn't there. And when I asked, "Where's Dad?" Thinking someone was going to say, "Oh, he went on a business trip," everyone got quiet. And I knew something was wrong, but I was one of the little kids in the family. So nobody ever told me anything. Except my one sister. I had one sister who would just always tell. She would tell us there was no such thing as Santa Claus. She would tell us there's no such thing as the Easter Bunny. There's no tooth fairy. Of course, we didn't believe her for a while, but she was that one. But at the same time, she was also the one who would tell us the truth. And so she told me that my father was in the hospital and he had cancer. And at that time, to me, cancer meant death. So I just thought, that's it. I've lost my dad. And again, being one of the youngest in the family, no one explained anything to me. And so I just knew everyone was sad. I was sad right along with them. And then one day he just showed up. He came back home.
Wow.
And to me, it was like a miracle.
Right.
And so when I talked to him and I said, you know, I want to know what happened. He didn't have his newspaper that time. We sat face to face and he talked to me and I asked him, oh my gosh, I think it was hours of asking question after question after question. And what I got out of that conversation was that doctor saved his life and that he admired them. He appreciated them and he admired them. And because I admired him, I said, that's it, I'm going to become a doctor. And I told him right then, I'm going to be a doctor one day. And he said, okay. And my mother, who's an educator, I told her too. And she said, okay. And so she gave me books on the human body. I got a skeleton that each bone was an actual skeleton. I mean, like a plastic skeleton that you had to put together.
Right.
It took me months. It took me a long time, but I did it. But mostly what it did was the idea that I was 6 of 8 children. I was one of the little kids. Nobody ever told me or talked to me about anything. And then suddenly I was being taken seriously. And that had a huge impact on me. And I just never wavered from that point. I've just always wanted to be a doctor. Fortunately, I was good at math and good in science, and I enjoyed science. I love the human body and how it functions. Even then, I'm still fascinated, absolutely fascinated. And so a few years after that, my family moved to Africa, to East Africa. And I realized then that just from seeing people who are ill, I realized over the years that there was a difference between people who had access to medicine and those who didn't. And that really shaped the kind of doctor I became. And so helping people has always been paramount. I mean, that's just always been number one. I always assumed I was going to move back. I assumed I was going to live someplace and not get paid. I made sure that when I went through med school, I came out without student loans so that I wouldn't have to work for money.
Ooh, say that for the people in the back, because I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just heard today,
No, that's okay.
that the average debt that they come out of medical school with is upwards of $250,000, man.
Oh, more, yeah, or more.
More than
Yeah.
that, right? Yeah.
Yes. And so what I did, I found out that there was something called the National Health Service Corps. And what that is, it's a government program where they pay all your education, pay for everything, living expenses, books, everything. And all you have to do is work in an underserved area for every year they paid for my school. I already knew that's what I wanted to do. So for me, it was a win-win.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that my very first job was in my husband's hometown. It was an underserved area. And every place I've lived has been every place I've wanted to live has been an underserved area. So I've always had a place to work. I've always had a place to contribute to my community. And it's been an amazing experience, really. I've always been able to do exactly what I've wanted to do in medicine. I'm not one of those doctors who, says, oh, I wish I had done something else. I got exactly what I wanted.
What an absolute blessing. And I love that story, Mike.
That's awesome.
There's so much I could say right there that in our other life that I could talk about, but she was very focused on not only what she wanted to do as a doctor, but who she wanted to serve. And that's powerful, man. And it was serving in underserved areas. And your friend, and I know you know her very well, Dr. Tamara Beckford, she said, love the knowledge that you're dropping, Dr. Toomer. So she gave you some shout outs up there.
That's my girl.
And my VP said 56 is the new 36. He's saying that. He's saying that because he's about 59. So he wants it to be 49. But, going to, you see the stars and the shimmering ideology of, man, I'm going to be a doctor. I could be working in this huge, massive facility and all, you know what I mean? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I from a little girl, what you say, 6 years old, talking to your dad, that you knew from there, and you followed that dream all the way to its completion. and you're living that life now. That's powerful.
Yes.
And what, I might bring you back on for Black History Month, because that's really a good story in that don't ever underestimate a child's vision, y'all. Right? Mike?
Never.
Don't ever underestimate if a child says they want to do something, man. Water those seeds, man. Come on, let's go cultivate that.
Yes.
Because I need a doctor in my family, because I'm getting old. You know what I'm saying?
But that's not to say it was always easy, and it wasn't. There were a lot of people who tried to discourage me over the years. There was a lot of pushback.
Really?
Yes.
You want to talk about that a little?
Well, I mean, at the time I made that declaration, it was 1973.
Mm-hmm.
There were places still segregated in this country in 1973. And so I lived in a university town in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So there, I mean, I was surrounded by a lot of educated people. So it wasn't really unusual to come, to meet doctors and people say, okay, that's a good thing you want to do. But there was still that, are you sure? Don't you want to be a nurse?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather do this? Or, how, and at that point, I had never met a Black woman doctor. I'd never seen one, not on television, not in books, not in real life, anywhere.
Wow. Do you
but my parents just said, acted like it was the most normal thing for me to want to be. So that had impact. That impacted me more than the naysayers.
Oh, that's powerful. Are you still about 2% of the industry right now?
Mm-hmm.
So
2%.
being a female and being African-American is about 2%. And you overcame that. Like your parents said, oh, that's 2% is good enough for us. We can do it.
Yes.
You had some really, really amazing parents.
I do. My mother, like I said, will be 92 in March. I still call her for advice.
Yeah.
And now she put herself through college in the 50s.
Wow.
Which, yeah. So I came by it honestly. My father he's an engineer, and he grew up in Detroit in extreme poverty, and he was about 14 when World War II was raging. He had read a story about the Tuskegee Airmen and decided he was going to be a pilot, but he was only 14. So he had also read in the newspaper that all the birth records in Biloxi, Mississippi had been burned in a fire.
What?
So he knew that if he told people he was born in Biloxi, Mississippi, they couldn't prove how old he was.
Trace him.
So he joined the Navy when he was 14.
Are you serious?
Yes. And then he used his GI Bill to go to college. So he actually left school in 9th grade and then went from 9th grade right into college. So when he came out.
I did not know we were having a legend on our show tonight, Mike.
I mean. Wow,
yeah. So if you're tuning in, thank you guys for passing by in our live audience. We're being blown away by this very disarming Dr. Catherine Toomer. You can find her. It's very easy to find her. Go to drtoomer.com. That's drtoomer.com. And yeah, you're right, Greg. I mean, Dr. Beckford, she is a legend for real. And I mean, she's going to live till 100. I mean, her parents are there. And so, and Black and I were talking about this yesterday because we did a bit about Dr. King yesterday, and he and I talked about that. We talked about how he and I are kind of like the realization of some of Dr. King's dreams, and that here I am, a Black guy, here he is, a white guy named Black, and we're best of friends, we're business partners. You know what I'm saying? And in your time and growing up, and then in your dad's time, more pronounced that this was just not a reality. And so then when you look at though what you did, your parents sound like they just said it doesn't matter the environment, it don't matter the adversity, it don't matter who tells you no. We're going to support what you're going to do, and you're going to do great things. That seems to be kind of like what the vibe was.
And that's exactly what it was. I mean, I remember the first time I got a racial insult, and I told my mother. I was about 9 years old, and I went and told my mother, and she's like, "So?" And I was like, "What do you mean, so?" I'm upset. I'm crying. I'm all upset. And she was like, "Well, are you?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Why are you gonna let somebody else tell you what you are or who you are?" She was like, "So what?" And that has been my philosophy from that point on. No matter what anybody says, it just rolls off, because I'm like, well, she was like, "You don't let a stranger tell you who you are over who you tell yourself who you are." And I was like, "No." And that's how I was raised. And I've always been told, don't take no for an answer. And I didn't. In fact, the medical school I wanted to go to did not accept me at first.
Really?
No, I got a rejection letter, and I went to the admissions officer, the director of admissions, and I asked her, why wasn't I accepted? And she said, well, let me get your folder. She went through my folder and she said, I can't tell you why. I'm looking at everything. I know there's people in this class who don't have grades as good as yours, who don't have, test scores as good as yours, who, haven't done the extracurricular activities you've done. So I don't know why you're not in this class. So she promised me that if she couldn't get me into that class, that she would get me into the next year. And that's what happened. I got into the next year.
Wow. So you had good grades all the way along, huh?
No.
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 Yeah. Is this a Mimo
And
moment?
this is no, it's not a Mimo moment. This is a let's get real moment.
Okay.
Now, people always like, you have to have a 4.0, you have to have perfect scores to get into medical school. I mean, that's nice. People like bragging rights and like, yeah, I got into med school. So they won't tell you that's not really true because it makes you look good.
Right.
But truthfully, and I'm just gonna say that I never passed organic chemistry.
Really?
Nope.
Well, there's hope for us, Black. What do you think?
Definitely.
But however, the parts of organic chemistry that I needed for medical school, I was able to use.
Yeah, right.
I was still able to use it. I just never passed it as an undergrad. But and I had an explanation for that. I was like, I just, it was like it's a foreign language, and I'm just bad at learning languages, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I talked to Dr. Beckford last week, or no, just the other day, right, Mac? It was Thursday. It seems like all the days run together on Impacting Life 24/7. But I talked to her and I asked her if she could consider just ordaining me and Mike and Greg as doctors, since we just hanging out with y'all, and then I could get a secondary doctorate from you. I'm thinking I should be called Dr. C.L. King. Does the audience agree with that? Doesn't it have like such a nice ring? I mean, just need to put a DR after this thing right here,
That's funny.
So anyway, I'm of course I'm just teasing. I know I would have to earn it. I'm just gonna wait everybody out and get an honorary because I ain't smart enough to go to school for it, bro. Now, Mike, he's the bookworm. He'll be a doctor. Danny, Danny is the closest thing. He's another team member of ours. He's the closest thing to a doctor without a doctorate. That brother's brilliant. And so, as life goes on, doctor, because we were running out of time. I didn't realize that. Look at the time, Mike.
Oh wow.
Flying by.
When we talk about your life and the amazing story, the struggle that you had to go through, I think sometimes we miss the gift that's wrapped in our life called struggle, right? But then some things started changing for you relative to your health. And so I want us to go into that, because that will really illuminate kind of why you created this program. So tell us about how your health took a major shift and turn for the worse.
Well, like many people in stressful situations, tend to overeat, gain weight. And I went through a stressful undergraduate time. Actually, I was in the country essentially by myself. My parents were still in Africa. I had one sister who did live in the United States at the same time. But for the most part, I was away from my whole family. I was from a big family. There were 10 of us, and it was down to 2. And so that was stressful. Then I went to med school. That was stressful. I went to residency. That was stressful. I had my first daughter, gained a considerable amount of weight with that pregnancy, then got out of residency, started my first job. That was stressful. And so just the weight gain just continued and continued and continued. And then I had my second daughter within 3 years of my first.
Mm-hmm.
By the time all of that was said and done, I was morbidly obese. I was on insulin. I was a diabetic on insulin. And then a month after my daughter was born, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure from pregnancy. And that was in 2001. I was given at that time, well, the statistics I already knew. I had about a 50% chance of living 5 years. And my ejection fraction was 15%, which is what we use to measure how efficient our heart is working.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very low. And I was told that, I may survive this, but if I did, I'd probably need a heart transplant. That was if I survived. And, I'm looking at my 2.5-year-old, I've got my 1-month-old, I have a husband, we've only been married, we haven't been married that long. And so I just decided, I had to do something.
Right.
I couldn't do anything about my heart. I knew that I couldn't. So I went for help to get my diabetes under control and to help lose weight. Because of my diagnosis, I was 36 years old with the diagnosis that's rare. Nobody really knew what it was except for a few cardiologists. And what ended up happening is that people told me I was too high risk. They couldn't help me. And I couldn't figure that out. I thought, how can you not help me get my diabetes under control? Well, the thing is, I was only on insulin. Nobody was going to tell me to stop it. And I was overweight and no one was going to help me lose that weight because they didn't know how it was going to affect my heart. And so what that told me is that the systems that were in place to help people lose weight were not healthy. If I was too high risk to get help to lose weight, what does that mean?
Ooh.
And so what I did is I just went back to my med school education. I went back to my basic sciences and I went back to, I know how the human body works. I knew medications, I knew everything. And so I started started just doing it on my own and documenting everything I did. Made changes here, checked to see how that would affect that had, made changes there, see what effect that had. And I just tweaked and and then eventually I got my diabetes well under control. And the beautiful thing about diabetes is that it really only takes 1 day to get controlled because it's all related to food and your meals.
Really?
So as soon as I realized what I could and could not eat, I already knew, but I knew what affected me personally.
Right.
I was controlled. Once I was controlled, my weight dropped. I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. I was off insulin at that point because I was no longer diabetic. I could control it with just diet at that point.
Right. Mike?
Hey, doctor. So just to follow up on, I know that was definitely in the preview, you talked about how this was a struggle. Besides your mother, of course, who did you really lean on to help you? I know you did a lot of this by yourself, but was there someone that you looked to that motivated you and kind of spurred you on that you can think of?
My husband. Actually, no one in my family knew how bad off I was.
Okay. Your husband, though, he helped you.
My husband knew. At that point, I had actually lost a brother in an accident. And I saw the effect it had on my family. So I didn't let people know. I didn't want to scare anyone. So I kept it to myself. So my husband, who knew, of course, he knew. My mother-in-law lived a few miles away, and she helped quite a bit to help me with the children because he was still in training. And but mainly what I did was I acknowledged the fact that I was suffering from depression. That's actually what really saved me. I had postpartum depression on top of chronic depression on top of diagnosis depression. And I was like, if I don't get this under control, none of the rest is going to matter. And so that's what I went after first. And that's kind of hard because there's a large stigma attached to any type of mental illness.
Oh, there is.
And so, yeah,
definitely.
And
and especially amongst doctors, believe it or not.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Doctors can't have problems or emotions. And, you just made a very, very good point relative to the D word and depression. And, even in church and ministry, I've talked about this on this show before, that sometimes in the faith community, we just say, well, Jesus is the Prince of Peace. He can handle it all. And that's it. You don't need any counseling. You don't need to address it. You don't need to deal with, you don't need therapy. And I said, listen, depression is just as real as if I broke my arm. You pray for me to get healed, but if my arm don't get healed, can you run me down to the ER real quick to see Dr. Beckford so I can get patched up, right? So we address those issues that are physical, but then when we start talking mental health, then that's all of a sudden, well, you're right, that the word is stigma, Black, that there is a stigma. And let me just parenthetically insert, since I'm on my soapbox, that we don't have nearly enough services for mental health. Not nearly enough. It is grossly underfunded. It's grossly understaffed. So you know how I feel about that, doctor. So it was very, thank you for sharing and being so transparent with us, because this is what really will help people. Yes. You know what I mean? Like you said you said it best. She said, I needed to start tackling the thing first, the right thing first, before I went off in all these other directions and acknowledge what the real deal was, right?
And I just want to mention two things. One, because depression, I hear this a lot, especially in the weight loss realm.
Yes.
I have no motivation. I start and I can't stop. I don't know what's wrong with me. And my first thing is, have you been screened for depression?
Right.
Depression zaps motivation. It zaps, you feel helpless, you feel hopeless, you feel like nothing you're going to do is ever going to work. And if that's there, it's like trying to push a boulder up a hill, while doing other things at the same time. Right. And it's just almost impossible. But I would like to say there is a wonderful resource. There's an audio book. It's called Be Well by Dr. Jessica Clemens.
Okay.
It breaks down every single type of mental illness there is. Ooh. And it is so easy to understand. It's an audio book. You can listen to about 4 hours long, and you can listen to it, and it just breaks down everything. And it helps remove that stigma. And not just for someone who's wondering about themselves, but if you're wondering about a family member, it's a perfect resource.
Man, that's powerful. Greg, if you could put that in the chat, and of course we'll add that to our show notes. You got that written down, right? It was Mike, it was Be Well.
Be Well audiobook by Jessica Clemens.
By Jessica
She's
Clemens.
a psychiatrist, Dr. Jessica Clemens. She's a psychiatrist.
Jessica Clemens.
Okay.
And we would definitely love to get that resource out to you folks. As you know, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's just coming to fruition. I told you that Impacting Life 24/7 was a cathedral of resources. I love saying that phrase. That really rolls off my tongue good, but it's true that if we had Dr. Beckford and Dr. Toomer being here these last couple shows is really going to touch people's lives. And that's why we bring people here. And hearing this from someone who's been through it, not just went to school to learn about it, but been through it. This is why you need to connect with Dr. Toomer tonight. So I'm going to give you her website. It's drtoomer.com. Again, it's drtoomer.com. In fact, what I'll do is I thank you, Greg, for putting that in there. Also, all the people that are on our live chat, you can see it there. Greg's already got the audio book link for that book right there. We want you to know that when we bring people here for Impacting Life 24/7 of this caliber, who have such a remarkable story, it's for you. It's for you, ladies and gentlemen. So, Dr. Toomer, I got to remember not to call you Dr. Beckford. I got both of y'all on the brain. She's in the
That's
chat.
all right.
Dr. Beckford's in the chat, and Dr. Toomer's in the live, and I got to make sure I don't call her. I have been known.
It's all right.
I have been known to mess up a few names on this show. Is that not right, Black?
Amen to that.
Well, like I said, I'm one of 8 children, so I'm used to having my mother go through every single name first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know how that goes.
And doctor, is it true that they calling you, but unless they call your name, you gonna act like you ain't hearing it, right?
That's my mother. Who I'm talking to.
My kids used to do the same thing. I'd be like, Chris, Jeremiah, Destiny, Cameron. Ah!
You know who I'm talking to.
You know who I'm asking for. And so it is a remarkable story, Vera. Vera Dixon is one of our friends and former Air Force veteran. And you're right, Dr. Toomer. If we're going to start, we got to start we got to start at square one. And so you went on this journey and you overcame it. I mean, 200 pounds, 4'11", probably over 200 pounds, and your physical conditions relative to diabetes and congestive heart failure, and you've turned this around. And the bigger thing is that you've sustained it, you know. And so we were picking her brain, ladies and gentlemen, before the show. We were just like, okay, so tell us the secret sauce. Come on, hook a brother up. And as you see how she presents is how she's done it. You know, she hasn't been, she's smooth, steady, deliberate, almost like how she did, you know, getting in to talk to her dad, smooth and deliberate, and followed that path all the way through. And what we want you to understand is when we get into this wellness piece with Dr. Toomer, she has created a program for you to be able to actually win, not something that's so hard that you're gonna fizzle out after a few days. Mike, Mike, let's just be honest with me and you. How many interventions have you and I tried over the past 46 years together, right?
Well, we could blame COVID because prior to COVID, we actually would go to Planet Fitness.
That's
I'll tell
true.
the viewers
That's
out there,
That's
and we would take our little hour during lunch and we go to Planet Fitness, and it was really enjoyable. I broke up the day. We did a little. See, I was actually trying to work out, and tell the truth on the viewers. I was trying to work out, and he's over there with the phone doing his whole look at me. I'm like, are you gonna like do that? Or are we gonna work out? You know,
I'm always promoting. I'm sorry.
and I'm over there walking, and I'm going, are you recording me? Stop recording me. I'm just talking to me and you, you know. But anyways, we had such a good time, and we always got a salad, and we always, you know, but we did that consistently for a while, and then COVID hit, of course, and we, you know, we're working from home. But it is tough. It is tough to stay consistent.
Greg said, yeah, you're right, Black. Greg said he tried to give up Captain Crunch. That's not a major sacrifice, Greg, but he's going to start somewhere. Greg always eats Captain Crunch in the evening, so that's what he does. Dr. Toomer has a program, and when you go to her website, because please go there, drtoomer.com, she talks about this concept that she developed. It goes like this. It says, so how did a dying 4'11", 200 plus pound, 36-year-old become a 120-pound, 56-year-old loving life? And she says, by breaking the weight loss industry rules and finding I'm going to say Memo, but it could be Memo, but I'm going to say Memo on this show. Tell us what Memo is, Doctor.
Memo is minimal effort for maximum outcome. At the time that I developed my program, I was literally sick and tired. I couldn't stand up to brush my teeth. I got winded walking from one side of the room to the other. When your heart fails, your lungs fail right along with it because your heart and lungs are connected. Mm-hmm. And so I had no energy. So whatever I had to do, it had to be easy. I just did not have the energy to do anything difficult and anything that took a lot of measuring, concentration, a lot of thought. I just needed it to be simple.
Right.
And so what I started documenting was to see what I could get away with, really. Right. What could I eat that would keep my blood sugar down? You know, and that included cheesecake.
All right.
And cupcakes.
Right.
Because, you know, food is a self-care mechanism for me. Mm-hmm. And so I just like, you know, if I'm not going to live, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to enjoy the rest of the time I've got. And that includes good food.
Right.
And so I wanted to make sure that I could eat the things I enjoy. And so I started paying attention to how I could do that, what I could combine with the things I liked so that I could still eat them and it didn't cause my blood sugar to go up. What I could do, how much of something I could eat and it wouldn't cause my blood sugar to go up. And I just kept documenting. And I realized there's certain pairs, you can pair things together in a way so that one counters the other. Mm. And so one of the things I do in my program is I get a very detailed food diary. And what I do is I go through that food diary and say, okay, if this is what you're eating, do this so that you can eat it. I rarely ever tell someone not to eat something. I just tell them how they can eat it. So when you start talking about Captain Crunch, my mind started going. I was like, okay,
Okay, what?
heavy whipping cream instead of milk, or using a high protein, vanilla shake as the milk instead of milk, because then it counters the sugar. Or if so those type of things,
Right.
just trying to help people, because the closer you stay to someone's habits and the closer you stay to the things that they prefer, then the easier it is for them to maintain it for the rest of your life. Punishment does not work. Shaming does not work. This shame for change, mechanism we've got now just does not work. And that's why you got a lot of people walking around feeling like they're failures when they aren't.
Right.
They're not failing. Nobody just told them how to win.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
Now,
Wow.
what do you say there, Black?
That's amazing. You need to say that a lot. We need to put that somewhere in somebody's message board or something.
You
You're
know
not
what I'm
failing. You
saying?
just ain't been taught how to win.
You just ain't been taught how to win. That man,
That is amazing.
Minimum effort, maximum outcome. And that right there speaks to me, because I'm already sitting here thinking about, okay, so now if I get a 2-piece dark at Bojangles and I get a sweet tea, I might can pull that off.
Well, I would recommend getting an unsweet tea. Stick with the dark meat chicken, but that there are ways,
Right.
there really is. And everyone has to find their thing, but it's like I say, there's like a stew. Everyone has this stew that can sustain them for the rest of their life. And it's just a matter of figuring out what ingredients need to go into your stew. Is it, what type of exercise? Or like when I lost my weight, I couldn't exercise at all.
Right.
I mean, I my heart would not I just couldn't because of my heart.
Right.
And so all of mine was about food.
Wow.
And I eat.
And she did it, ladies. She's not starving herself. She's not eating 1 carrot every 6 hours
I
and
don't know what that means.
a piece of cheese. A piece of cheese. And that's why, that's how we try to start out. Oh yeah, I'm this big 6'4", 200 and something pound dude, and I'm just gonna eat a little bitty piece of cheese to last me for the next 14 hours. Yeah, okay, I'm on that.
Doesn't work.
And so go to her website, ladies and gentlemen. I see a lot of people. You are making an impact, doctor. I'm telling you. I see a lot of people chiming in. Go to her website right now. Stop what you're doing. Continue to listen to her, of course, but go to drtoomer.com, drtoomer.com. And I went to her website, and here's what I saw, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all ready for this? Black, did you go to her website, or are you still looking for it?
No, I found it. I have it. I'm not still looking for it.
I'm teasing, man. That's an inside joke, because the other night when I was we were interrogating Dr. Beckford, I was like, okay, I messaged Black in the chat. I said, okay, ask her this from the website, and he's like, I'm looking for the website right now. We couldn't find it. When I looked at Dr. Toomer's website, there are dandelions on her website. I told you I wouldn't forget, doctor. There are dandelions on her website, and she says that dandelions signify transformation, right? And so I did a little bit of studying, because that's my profession as a speaker. So I found some inspiration in connection with what she has in relative to that dandelion, and the little shoots, or the little seeds that depart from the flower, can travel 65 miles because of the way they are designed.
Mm-hmm. They take advantage of the wind.
Oh, come on, somebody. And don't let me talk about the wind in church. But listen, the way it's designed, coupled with the wind. See, you're unique. Every one of us is unique. And don't the point for me is, don't give up on yourself. You're designed to win. You just need somebody like Dr. Toomer to show you how to win. See, well, so when somebody comes into your website and they want to sit down and can you do like a consultation with them, or kind of like an assessment and kind of brainstorm? Because I know you probably tailor this for each individual person, right?
I actually give free consultations. I do free strategy sessions to help people either figure out if I can help them, or to help them find somebody who can, if I can't. And so I always make sure, I just try to make sure that people understand, or at least give them an idea of what it is that they're really dealing with, so that they can go back to their doctor and share that information with them so that they can start their process.
Right. And that's total wellness plus weight loss. And that's your group that people would join.
Now that's my group. So
That's
what
your
that
group.
is,
Mhm.
yeah. So what that is it's a course. What I did, I took my program, I put it into a course,
Mhm.
and I put it into podcast form,
Okay.
essentially. And so that people can listen to my lessons and listen to how it's done. And then in the membership, month by month, we go through and we individualize it. So I start helping people create the ingredients for their stew. So, these are the basics. These are the foundation of what you need. And then let's figure out what you need and what you really don't, or what you need more of and what you need less of.
Yeah.
Some people,
Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that some people just they jump in, and what they're jumping into is really not what they need, because they saw it work for a friend, but that friend's physique is different, that friend's age is different, their
Right.
hormonal, situation is different. So what they need to do and what works for them may not work for you. And it's just a matter of figuring out what those things are.
First Lady Monica Cruz, you're asking where her practice is or where her practice is located. She's all virtual.
I'm online.
So
I'm online.
She's 100% online, and all you got to do is go to her website. Greg, if you throw that in the chat again, or maybe I could throw it in and pin it, or you can pin your comment there, Greg, if it allows you to. But it's www.drtoomer, TOOMER.com.
Well,
Okay.
are people watching on Facebook right now, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, they are. Yeah.
So they can just go right to Messenger.
Yep.
Just go to my Facebook page and message me.
You can message her directly. See, I mean,
I don't mind.
She doesn't mind. And as long as Greg, you're not asking her for a recipe for Captain Crunch, she'll take your message. What you got, Mike? What's your follow-up, bro?
So just as far as what you spoke about, how it's unique to different people, I mean, do you on your podcast or people that you counsel, just talk a little bit about that, because I think that's an important piece that, you hit on. Like I said, there's always people trying to lose weight after the new year, especially. So just kind of was curious about that.
One of the things I always say is don't believe everything you think, because mainly the information we've been given about weight loss is for us to be dependent on an industry that makes money off of us gaining our weight back.
Oh boy.
When you use a physician, our job is to heal. Our job is to cure. So when someone says we're going to help you lose weight, it is permanent, because otherwise we're not doing our job. There's a different concept when you're doing it for making money and when you're doing it for health reasons. And so it has to be permanent. And so, so when it comes to, I lost my train of thought. Oh,
That's
goodness.
okay.
It's okay.
It was good what you were saying, so we was riding right along with you.
Right.
But I got it back. So basically what happens, so when people start their process, they need to understand that it needs to be their process. So when they see somebody going to the gym every single day, well, they may be going to the gym, but they're doing the wrong thing at the gym. Or they're doing something at a level that if you go and do the same thing, you're going to end up injured. So you're going to end up sitting down, and then what? So one of the things I always tell people, you need to have multiple streams of weight loss. So if anything happens to one of those streams, the others take over.
Ooh, wait. That was too good. That was too good. Us business-minded folks.
I thought she said multiple streams of income, but she said multiple streams of weight loss.
Weight loss.
I'm like, where do I sign up? Where do I sign?
On the second show, we're gonna have to unpack that. That is amazing.
Multiple streams of weight loss, guys. That, man, because you're setting yourself up for success if you do it that way, huh, Doctor?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if you rely solely on diet, or you rely solely on, and I don't like that word diet, because I don't diet, and I try to help people how not to diet. I just try to help them eat. I just teach people how to eat, because I like food. Food should be something that you enjoy. It should be a joy. And so that's really the cornerstone of what I do, is help people how to enjoy food so that they can enjoy life and still lose the weight they want.
I mean,
But if you do lots of different things, if any one part of it fails or it falls away because either you get injured so you can't exercise, or you get older and your hormones change, or whatever, you have all the other ways to take up slack.
yeah.
But if if all your eggs are in one basket and something happens to that basket, all your benefits, all your hard work just goes away.
And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who know me and my affinity for aviation, what she just described to you is called redundancy. Like it can't be a single point of failure, right? And so y'all should just bring me on the circuit and travel with y'all, doctor. I could do some motivation there. She gave us one of the greatest nuggets on true weight loss and wellness that I've ever heard, when she said multiple streams of weight loss that will go down in infamy. And listen, let me just highlight a few more points before we roll. Being in control of your eating, whether you're traveling, partying, stressed out, or sitting around bored. Being in control of your eating, knowing exactly how to lose weight and keep it off. These are some of the things you're going to get with Dr. Catherine Toomer. Being pain-free, because you dealt with joint pain a lot, didn't you, doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My knees are not designed to carry around 200 plus pounds.
Yeah, and we think about that. What some of the things that are creating those pains are because we're carrying around more weight than our body was supposed to handle.
And some of that weight's not in pounds, just to reiterate. Some of that weight is what's weighing us down in life that manifests in our body.
Well, she good, Black. I'm telling you, she good. I'll just let you take over Impact Life 24/7. You can fire us. We'll give you the keys to the studio. Just come on and do the show for us, okay?
I'll pick up the Captain Crunch.
You pick up the Captain Crunch for Greg, and we'll just put the stuff in the chat for you, Dr. Toomer. How about that? Will that work for you?
All right, that'll work.
Not dreading your day. Like how people are just sick of waking up. Getting restful sleep and energy. That's something that we really need to key in on. I was thinking after the show I was going to do some closeout stuff, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and get in the bed and go to sleep and actually get 8 hours of sleep for a change. Imagine that. And so if you would like to connect, you see her website pinned right there, drtoomer.com. She has been, Greg told me this when he looked over your stuff. He said home run. I said, oh, I knew she was because Dr. Beckford was a home run. And so it was like, hey man, we getting 2 home runs in the same inning. What do you think about that, Black?
Definitely. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show, and your calm demeanor. Chris said it earlier in the show. I resonate with that. And it's just you've been calm, succinct, and you've just been dropping those. You got some great one-liners, many liners that we're going to have to go back and write them down and repeat them a lot. So thank you so much.
And
Thank you for having me.
And as you guys hear, this is the most unfortunate time of the show, and that is the closing music. Unfortunately, the folks were saying, if y'all don't end this, we might have to go into extra innings, and then I'd have to pay Dr. Toomer to be here longer than we need her, longer than she has time to be. So, Dr. Toomer, listen, you have really I know we just have kind of scratched the surface, but the one thing that I hope that we have done is introduced other people to you. Vera Dixon says, yes, amazing nuggets. And Monica Cruz says, this is deep. Real transformative information, not just information, but life relevant information. We talked about losing weight, and oftentimes what we find is people get put on a meal plan, right? That's the first thing we're gonna do, put on a meal plan. We're gonna put you on an exercise regimen. And Dr. Toomer helped us understand that, man, okay, well, maybe it's your mental weight that we need to start with. That resonates with me, man. That really does resonate with me. Black and I have talked about that offline, that, man, you got to get in here too and get this right. So, Dr. Toomer, as we always do, we give the last few words to our guests. And I'd like you to take about 30 to 45 seconds and just give a word of encouragement to all of those people that have been listening, who are still listening, stuck with us the whole show, and give a word of encouragement to everyone listening. Dr. Toomer, the floor is yours.
Well, we talked a little bit about dandelions, and the reason that I chose dandelion as the representation of what I do is because before we were told, we looked at dandelions as flowers. And then somewhere along the way, someone told us it's a weed. And then, but when it becomes a puffball, suddenly we're told, oh, it's a wish. And it becomes magical again. And that's exactly what happens with my process, is we start off going back to saying, you're not a weed, you're a flower. And no matter what anyone else tells you, there are going to be wishes at the end of this, and we're going to create those. And that's essentially what I do, is I turn people's wishes into wellness and to weight loss.
Y'all heard that? I mean, and she just said it so surgically too. I would have said that and I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs about to pass out. And she just inserted that so powerfully, so gently, so kindly. Dr. Toomer, that was very revolutionary. That was very revelatory. I might have to put that in my new speech. I might change the title of my old speech and just pick up yours right there. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You're right, Greg. Wow. Wished into wellness and weight loss. Totally powerful. Dr. Catherine Toomer. Listen, we're putting together a Black History Month series, and so I'm just giving you an open invitation now. I'll send you more information out, but you're a historical figure. Not that you're old. I'm just saying you've got a lot. Not that you're old. I'm saying you've got a lot of amazing things, legendary things that have happened with you and to you, and how you're influencing people's lives. Black, you got any closing thoughts?
Just again, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. And we enjoyed having you so much. And we look forward to seeing you back. So make sure you schedule and come back and be a guest next month.
Definitely.
So
this was very enjoyable.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank
Tell
you.
all your friends, Dr. Toomer, that CL King Impact Life 24/7 with Mike Black. This is where it's at. Okay. Tell them to all come on over. We'll be glad to have them. Okay.
All right. All right.
All right. Listen, thank you so much. I hope that you have a good day, Doctor.
Thank you. You too.
We'll be in touch. All right. Stay there, Black. Don't leave, brother.
All right, bro.
Don't report. All right, man. So what'd you think?
That was awesome, man.
That was really good, bro. I'm just
man. She was so chill.
I knew she would resonate with you, bro.
Look, she was ripping them off like them one-liners. Like what?
Yeah.
That line about you're not a failure. You ain't been taught how to win. What in the world?
Yeah, man.
Dang, I need to insert that when I interview for a job. I haven't been taught how to win, man.
You know what I'm saying? The flower and the weed and the wish. Oh man, I could work on that one right there. That's dope, man.
I think what's so cool is that she's actually so opposite from Dr. Beckford. She's like, just so opposite. Dr. Beck was kind of chipper. She's just like, this is what, and her story too, man. How powerful. I mean, she got out of medical school with no debt. Yeah, that's like,
that's
mind-blowing. And then what I picked up on was that, her dad being sick, was a catalyst for her becoming a doctor because she really wanted to help her dad. So that was real special.
Right. And she took a dream and lived it all the way out to the end. That's great. So that does it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on Impact Life 24/7. Again, go to Dr. Toomer's website, drtoomer.com, drtoomer.com. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do on Impact Life 24/7. Black, this is what we do.
That's right.
You could feel the like, man, this is impacting me. And me and Black are sitting here getting this all for free,
That's right.
Every Monday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. This Thursday, I have the distinct honor of welcoming to our studios Dr. Daryl Minus and his brother Eric Minus. They formed the group called Minus 2. Maybe a month ago, maybe a month ago, you saw me at their live concert, and these brothers are absolutely amazing musicians. And I've known Dr. Minus for many, many years. In fact, when I used to speak at Craven Community College a lot, he was there, and they put out a new album. They just released their new album. And so I wanted to bring them on to talk more than just, the mechanics of releasing an album, but how they've really put out quality music during a time when we've been kind of unsettled. They've used a lot of inspiration during the shutdowns and COVID and all the tensions and racial tensions, etc. These guys went into the studio and just went to work. And so that'll be this Thursday. Dr. Daryl Minus and Eric Minus, -2. That's the name of their group, -2. And now when I went to see them Black, I'm telling you, I wish I could have took you, man. It was absolutely off the chain, bro.
Did you come to New Bern by chance to see them?
Yeah.
Did you drive right by my house on the way to go see them?
Well, maybe not on. I had to go to downtown New Bern. So
how you gonna wish you could have took me and you drove right by my house and like, I'm going downtown. See you, buddy.
It wasn't free. So the way my bank account set up, you know how that works.
Oh, you had to borrow the card and flip the card over and have a backstory of what did you spend $68 on in New Bern?
Yeah. So again, Dr. Daryl Minus, and then we got some other great folks coming up next week to close out the month. But I just really feel like, ladies and gentlemen, what you experienced tonight, high quality, high caliber people who want to be on this show. Mike, they want to be on the show. I think we treat them well. I think we try to show them that we want to bring value to their life, and they bring value to our guests. And so we're going to continue to do this. We're going to continue to grow. And I'm thankful, Mike, and Greg and Danny and Katrina, you guys are coming along on this journey with us. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris, for all that you do. And I'm looking forward to joining you, not co-hosting Thursday, but listening in.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't have to co-host Thursday because that's just a single deal. But
yes,
brother,
sir.
I just want you to know that in 2022, even with all these things going on, I still believe, bro, that this is our year. I still believe. We got the book, your book's coming out, my book's coming out. And we're just going to continue to be deliberate. That lady showed me something, man. Even in the face of adversity. That's the subtitle of my book. No matter the adversity, you still can make it. Man, just continually doing. You don't get too high about the highs, too low about the lows. You just stay consistent, right?
That's right, man. Good message.
All right,
Good
bro.
job.
Well,
Good job
until
tonight.
next time, I'll see you maybe live again next week. And see you online Thursday night. Thank you guys for tuning in to Impact Life 24/7 with your host, CL King, and co-host, Mr. Mike B. There in New Bern, North Carolina. God bless you. Good night, everybody.
Night, y'all.